Hi guys, I thought I would do a Celtic cross today, and today we start with as kind of like the current energy and who you are. I feel like a lot of times this placement is kind of like who you really are at the core, kind of like who you are in this lifetime, however you want to look at that. And this, I feel like with the Ace of Cups, this is somebody who is able to kind of express themselves. This is somebody who is okay with their emotions. They might overtake you, but you're able to express them. You might almost have to express them. And I feel like this also is somebody who is able to be that way creative too. You almost are authentic in the way that you feel and the way that you express your creativity, especially with the Three of Pentacles being as crossing. This is kind of like the supportive energy. And I feel like this is kind of like how you are able to kind of use, things around you or things inside you to kind of like make the best of any situation. And creatively, it's kind of being able to kind of look at things and kind of see the beauty, the essence of something. I also feel like this could be, you're able to kind of bring that out in other people too. You're able to collaborate in a way where maybe somebody might not see their talents and you're able to say, hey, you were really good at that, or let's do this because you do this good. It's kind of like being, like an emotional and creative mediator almost. So I feel like that's who this person is. So if you identify with that, then maybe that's you, right? And then in the third position, we have the Eight of Swords, which sometimes that can be, overthinking. But I feel like here, this is being able to kind of like see things differently. Because I don't think of this as like a bad position either. This is what is underneath of us. This is kind of like the surface level thing. And I feel like at the core, you are able to kind of like be intuitive, right? So if you're somebody who is able to express and create authentically, then you kind of have a feel for what that is, right? You have the ability to understand how that works in yourself, so you're able to understand how that works in others. So I feel like, you're not counting on like your physical senses. You're counting on your intuition. And maybe perhaps when you meet people, you're able to kind of be more like in tune with who they are. So I feel like whoever this is somebody who is really tapped in. And maybe you weren't always that way. Maybe this is something that you've kind of had to understand or develop. Because I think sometimes when we're sensitive, and I feel like that's what kind of like that emphasizes too, is being sensitive. When you're sensitive, like it can overtake you. Sometimes you as they say, when you're like the word that I don't always use, empath, it's kind of like, absorbing the emotions in the room, that type of thing. So, maybe this is you, or maybe this is somebody around you. And then in the fourth position, which, is kind of like the past, we have the Three of Wands. Obviously somebody who enjoys the adventure, right? Maybe this part of your path, you're somebody who kind of like always enjoyed like discovering things, or kind of, as things go, you're able to kind of enjoy the little things and see everything as an adventure, right? Maybe you enjoy experiencing new things. And that's part of who you are. And being a creative and emotionally charged person, I can understand how that would be, because, you kind of feed off those, what's the word I'm looking for? As a neurodivergent, I know this word very well. And as a nurse, those emotions, those chemicals that make you feel good, whatever, those endorphins. So a lot of times I feel like this is somebody who, you're pulled towards things that excite you. And that's not a bad thing. Don't think that that's a bad thing. I think we're told since we're little to be like, oh, you have to be responsible, blah, blah, blah. Well, if you can somehow marry responsibility with your excitement and what gives you passion, then that's perfect. I mean, that is what you should be doing. So, not everybody loves to like do people's taxes. Some people love to do that, and that's awesome. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to like, sell yourself short, so to speak, if you are somebody who eats, sleeps, and breathes creativity, who eats, sleeps, and breathes adventure, right? If that is at the core of who you are and you can't do anything else, you're probably like this person who, has always had that at the core of who they are, right? And so at the, crowning us, we have the sun. So, that childlike wonder, this feels like the same thing. It's kind of like knowing where you are and who you are. This is what that feels like. It feels like Especially, this feels like a journeying type of thing. Like, not so much like an actual, like, going on a journey, but this is about your path, your journey. This feels like somebody who, you know what it is. I mean, I don't think, like, maybe finitely, you don't have it, like, written out in pencil, but if you do, go you, because that's really hard. But I feel like somebody who, intuitively knows who they are, and it's somebody very in touch with their creative and spiritual self. And that's what the sun here kind of makes me feel like. You know what makes you happy, and that's what's pulling you towards where you want to be, right? And then we have the Emperor in the 6th place. So this is kind of like, the future, what you're kind of looking for. It's also a lot of times the 6th place can kind of be like, the love sector in a way, like your emotional relationships in a way. So, but I feel like this is saying you are mastering something, and it's almost kind of like, what are the people around you going to feel like? What are your loved ones and your families like? Do they look up to you in this way? Do they see you as this person, as kind of like a leader? And how is that going to affect the people around you? Are you able to kind of like master that emotion and adventure and kind of keep grounded and, control your path a little bit, right? So, and then we go to the 7th card, which is the Hanged Man. And that kind of reminds me of like being able to kind of look, looking at things in different ways, kind of surrendering to what is. And I feel like at this time, this is somebody who is kind of understanding how to kind of blend the things, right? You're kind of allowing yourself to be who you are. And this is a really good reading, by the way, whoever this is. But I feel like as the Hangman, in this way, it's almost like, you're learning how to release some of the need to, because it's just part of who you are. So I feel like this is somebody who's starting to understand how to blend the things that make you happy and the things that you have to do. Like how to figure out how to do the things that you need to do and the things that you want to do, and kind of make them the same thing, right? And then in your house, like I always think of the 8th card as like, in your house, like who's in, who's in your space, right? And we have the Empress. So either this is you or somebody else. And it feels like somebody who is, very charismatic, somebody who understands who they are as well. And this is also somebody who is, because, remember that, this is also a Libra card too. So I feel like with the Empress, and we have the Emperor and the Empress. So whoever this is a balance of, inner and outer. And I also feel like that magnetism that you have is kind of pulling the things that you want and is pulling it into your household. Whether this is, you live by yourself, you live with dogs, cats, whatever, or you have a family, or, you live by yourself, whatever. I feel like this is saying that like your life is starting to pull in things that you want because you're doing what you want. You're starting to see like the signs and symptoms of, having that magnitude. So whoever this is, if you are able to see those things, or if you're not able to see those things, maybe, take a little bit of that Hangman energy and kind of release the need. And I feel like we do that a lot of times. I think sometimes we'll look at for things so hard that we miss the symbolism, right? I was watching something, I can't remember. I don't know. I lost that one. But I remember too, like reading this one book about, this guy who was like training his psychic abilities, because I'm always trying to learn weird stuff, and that was the thing, is he was saying is it's not so much about like learning how to, it's learning how to decondition the other things. It's being aware of what things are. It's heightening those other senses that we have, because when you recognize them, you recognize what it is and you recognize the meaning of it, right? So it's ascribing meanings to things. If you're somebody that's trying to figure out why, okay, there's a car, but why you see this certain thing all the time, or why this shape comes up to you all the time, journal about it and kind of identify the feelings and the things that brings up, right? Same things with smells. What does it remind you of? What do certain smells remind you of? That type of thing. So I feel like this is saying that this is somebody that you're bringing things in, and you kind of have to allow it, because both the Hangman and the Empress, they're chill. They're not like in a rush. They're not hurrying. These are both entities that are kind of like, they allow things to come to them, or they don't rush. Not so much the Hangman doesn't really allow things to come to him, but I guess he does. It's more like surrendering. But I feel like it's releasing the need to know and just kind of allowing things to happen, and kind of being in that way, like being a beacon, being like a conductor, by allowing yourself to really slow down and kind of see the things that are coming at you and what they mean. Like I feel like somebody is kind of in like, you know, psychic school right now. Like the universe is being like, hey, I'm sending you stuff, but it's not because, you know, there's any big, huge thing. It's more about like, you know, hey, this is what you want. This is your life. You know, tap into it and really live it the way that you were meant to be. Okay. And so then, you know, our hopes and dreams, which is the ninth card and ninth position. And that is the King of Pentacles. This is always like my king of, you know, give and take and responsibility. But he's like, you know, he's like the dad or grandpa that like gives you $1 or whatever and tells you like, you know, make sure you spend this good. You know, you should put 50 cents in your piggy bank or something like that. You know what I mean? It's the loving responsibility. I know that sometimes he's seen as a different I don't know why, but this is the king. This is what I think of when I think of the King of Pentacles. I think of somebody who is grounded and kind of teaches you the way. You know, they might be a little arrogant, but I think, you know, that's just because, you know, he's learned his lessons. It's kind of like, you know, when your grandpa or your uncle or whatever is kind of like cocky about something, you know, but, you know, they kind of deserve that right in a way, as long as they're not being a jerk, because, you know, they've been through it and they're trying to teach you something. So kind of like, I feel like this is, you know, what you're really wanting is some stability in your life, in a way that you have the thing that you want, you know, right? You have the allowance, but you're able to use it responsibly. So this is somebody that's wanting to learn those skills, hone in those abilities, so you can kind of get these messages. You can get these things that you want to do, and you can kind of channel all the things that you're trying to create and all the things you're trying to like learn or experience, and really do it in a less chaotic way, right? That's what I'm feeling. And then at the outcome, we have the World. So to me, this feels like this is somebody who is on point to complete this cycle. This is, you know, this is just nothing but good, whatever this is. But I honestly feel like this is somebody who is mastering self. Mastering self is so important. And yes, we always go on, we always learn more, whatever, but I feel like self-mastery is the epitome of what it's all about. And it's not being better or greater or anything, or, you know, being cool or being trendy. It's about mastering yourself so you can live your life to your utmost potential. And I will say it over and over again. I feel like no matter what belief, whatever religion you believe in, whether you don't believe in religion, if you want to give respect to whatever it is that you worship, or, you know, whatever you believe, you want to appreciate that and be as grateful as you can, then you live your life as your best you, and you strive for that. That is how you can appreciate being born and having this life, right? Is you do the best that you can with what you have, and you cultivate your best self. So, and I feel like somebody's working on that, and somebody's doing that. And then I pulled 2 Herbal Astrology oracles because, you know, why not? And both these cards have like a lot of fairies in it, so maybe that means something to somebody. But we have number 49 with psilocybin commune, and this is Pluto and the Sun, so maybe there's a lot of scorpionic energy in there. I want to say that, like, yeah, with the emotions and the creativity, I definitely feel that. But at the same time, being married to a double Scorpio, if you're a Scorpio, you probably struggle with like allowing other people to get deep in there. So maybe that's something you're working on, or maybe you're just like, you know, I have a whole crap load of planets in retrograde in my chart, so maybe it's something like that. I don't know. But I'm going to read the description just because I think it's good. But it says it's communing with sacred, connecting to the otherworldly energy, remote viewing, regeneration through union, coming together with tribe, and finding cosmic family, which I think is freaking beautiful. And it says, Los Niños Santos, which means holy children, the holy children, have come to tell you that you have arrived at your place of power. See, there's why the emperor is there. They are the beacons of light on earth and offer psychic healing on the collective level. Los Niños Santos are asking you to tune in and commune with the ancestors and powers that be to further develop your power. So psilocybin floods our body with light codes, loosening the knots we volunteer to protect through the life of our journey. The journey of our life. Oh my goodness, I'm too bad at this. Don't resist the profound teachings. Relax into the higher mind as you commune. I'm reading out of the book, sorry. With the loving awareness. As you find home within commune as you find the love within, commune with others, and experiences that support you, connect to your nature, an extensive community of energies that are lovingly there, waiting your conscious arrival. Commune with spirits and channel the wisdom provided with your sure-footed spontaneity. All right, I feel like that's part of with the sun's there too. But, and this, we look at that too. Like, this is somebody who, you're a deep feeler, whatever, you know what I mean? You're a squishy person on the inside. Maybe you act like you're all hard on the out. I don't know. But it doesn't feel like this. This feels like somebody who is very good at expressing who they are, whether it's emotions or it's creativity or whatever excites you. And this is somebody who lives to be adventurous and go out there and explore things. You're somebody who is pulled by your feelings, right? And that's just beautiful. To me, that is expression of living your spirituality. That's you're pulled by your spirit, right? So I feel like that's another thing. I also feel like this is somebody who's definitely trying to connect deeper with that part of themselves, whether it's the psychic self of themselves, the psychic part of ourselves, the part that connects in that way. And I feel like this is definitely somebody who is looking to do that a little bit deeper. And I feel like you're being kind of like giving the nod, like, yeah, okay, yeah, that's good. We want you to do that, whoever, whatever, whether it's yourself or whatever. Me, I don't have a label for nothing because I know nothing. I just want to experience it all. But I feel like definitely letting yourself kind of like release a little bit. And, I'm not going to tell everybody to go do shrooms, not that like I'm against any of that. It's just, I'm at a time in my life where that just is not possible. It's just not a time for me to do that anymore. So, but what it is like, you're releasing things. When you do things like that, that's why that they are what they are. But you can also do that through meditation, through really just kind of like being aware, even being able to kind of, release restrictions on yourself. Like I was saying with that one guy who was talking about, like, when you smell something, what does it mean to you? It's tuning into your senses and really, that's what sensuality means to me. Like when I see that in a lot of readings and stuff like that, I'm not talking about like trying to be like, get up on somebody. It's about, exploring your senses and really understanding how they ignite you and how that really makes you feel that you're alive, or that really makes you understand like the beauty of being in this world, right? Is connecting those experiences to the body, right? Through our senses. And I feel like that is kind of like a channel. Our senses are a way that we can blend the psychic and the 3D, right? So I think that's beautiful. And then our last card is number 28, Elder with Wisdom. And this is another Pluto card, but it's Jupiter and Pluto. So this is definitely, expansive depths, right? This is somebody who expands and understands at the depths. But this card also reminds me that like wisdom is, it comes from, when we break apart those parts of ourselves that, we change into like, the bigger parts of ourselves. When we let go of our past selves, it's kind of like the death card to me, even though that's using Mars and Pluto. This feels more like, exploring those parts of ourselves, exploring the depths, right? It's really expressing and exploring those depths and expanding that, right? And so they overtake you, right? And being somebody that is this watery emotion and creative person who loves to explore, you probably thrive in this area. So I feel like this is where you get your wisdom. You get your wisdom through exploring those deeper parts of yourself and really making your emotions be the guide to your adventure, right? When you put those 3 of Wands next to all that watery energy, that's what that feels like to me. And I'm just going to read like the what it means upright, which is rising from the underworld. Yes. So Scorpio, ain't even funny. Release, letting go, major transformation, higher wisdom, new perceptions, and awakening to the truth. Yeah. So I just think this is beautiful. So whoever this reading is for, I'm deeply getting that it is important for your goal. Maybe it's a personal goal, or maybe it's a deep spiritual goal. Whatever you're working towards, if it is a spiritual thing and it is kind of like you're trying to tap into something, why don't you try that? Try, really expressing to yourself and kind of like consciously, like you smell something, you eat something, you do so, express to yourself what that means and feel it. You know what I mean? Like, don't think, feel, like Bruce Lee likes to say. So I feel like it's being aware, like being hyper aware of why these things are different, why you differentiate like a good smell from a bad smell. How does it make you feel inside? And I feel like this is a big key poetic expression of psychic ability. So I really feel like this is something that somebody should be doing. I don't know why, but anyway, so that's all I have for you today. I hope this meant something for somebody, and I will talk to you later.